Whether you believe in manifestation or not, there have definitely been moments like this in your life. Moments where you thought, this could have really happened. If only that one thing had been different. The outcome would have changed completely. But here's the real issue. It's not that the opportunity disappeared. It's that in that crucial moment, you weren't truly yourself. You were overly sensitive to the fear of failure. You were anxious about what others would think. You hesitated because of your fears. And ultimately, you postponed your decision. And then, much later, you find yourself saying, why did I act that way back then? This is the true face of manifestation failure that most people experience. And here's something crucial. The universe doesn't really care how desperately you want something. The universe responds to only one thing. Were you in a state ready to receive? Let me express this in one sentence. Unless you are aligned with your home frequency, you can never receive your reality into existence. There's a perfect analogy that explains this. The story of a package delivery. This won't be about mysticism or belief. We'll approach it logically from the perspectives of perception, state of being, and repetitive patterns. When you understand these concepts, you'll see why manifestation suddenly starts working for some people. By the end of this video, this sentence will sound completely different. Oh, the problem wasn't the universe after all. To discuss effective manifestation, we first need to talk about the third eye. The activation of the pineal gland. The moment this discussion begins, resistance arises in many people's minds. Isn't that too mystical? What does this have to do with changing reality? Can this be explained scientifically? These reactions are completely normal. The concept of the third eye has long been consumed alongside exaggerated stories, distorted testimonials, and extreme claims. So this topic carries suspicion from the start. That's why the first question we need to ask is, what exactly is the third eye? Many people think of the third eye as the ability to see the future, a sense that perceives invisible worlds or a spiritual ability only special people can unlock. But this is the most common and most significant misunderstanding. The term third eye doesn't mean a new organ grows. It's not about developing supernatural powers. The essence of this concept lies in something else. Your state of perception changes. This raises another question. Why do people who experienced the third eye talk about seeing lights or feeling connected? This question has an answer. There are indeed cases where people have unusual experiences. When their pineal gland is activated, during deep meditation, vivid imagery might arise, their sense of time might blur, or sudden insights might flood their consciousness. But here's the critical point. These experiences are phenomena, not the goal. They are byproducts, not the purpose. Now let's look at the scientific viewpoint. The pineal gland is a small endocrine organ, located deep in the center of the brain. Its most important role is regulating melatonin secretion, controlling sleep and wakefulness, your circadian rhythm. What does this mean? The pineal gland isn't a mystical portal. It's a key regulatory device that controls your brain's state and rhythm. A person's judgment, perception, and quality of choices are heavily influenced by their brain's state. When you're constantly tired, anxious, and overly stimulated, you think in complicated ways, get easily shaken, and ultimately make choices that aren't true to yourself. Conversely, when your brain's rhythm is stable and unnecessary, noise is reduced, perception becomes simple, and judgment becomes clear. What we call an activated pineal gland refers precisely to this state. The mind becomes quiet. The sense of being present in this moment becomes vivid. Important and unimportant naturally separate themselves. At this point, people say, strangely, making decisions became easier. I could see the answer without having to think about it. This is exactly why it feels like the third eye has opened. And here's where a crucial connection emerges. Your home frequency. When the pineal gland is activated and mental noise decreases, you don't suddenly become more special. Instead, you start to accurately sense your own state. You move away from living according to others' expectations, comparisons, anxiety, and lack. You begin to immediately detect, what state am I in right now? Is this choice right for me? Imagine you order something online. You even get the delivery completion notification. But the problem is you weren't home when it arrived. So did the package not come? No. It came, but you couldn't receive it. Here's the crucial point. Most people miss, they think, not being home simply means physical absence. But in manifestation, not being home has an entirely different meaning. Your body was at home, but your thoughts were trapped in future worries. Your emotions were caught in anxiety. Your judgment was tied to others' opinions. Your choices automatically defaulted to the safe option every single time. In this state, even when opportunity knocks, you don't open the door. Actually, you can't open it, so we haven't been missing opportunities. We've actually been rejecting them continuously throughout our lives. Manifestation isn't a technique for forcefully pulling something toward you. It's about being in a state where you can open the door when reality is already standing right in front of you. Now, the question needs to change. Instead of asking, why doesn't it work for me? We should ask, why wasn't I home in that moment? In today's video, I'm going to answer this question in a way that has never been organized quite like this before. We'll explore what's commonly called the third eye, the activation of the pineal gland, and a concept known as the Akashic Records. This state is precisely what it means to be aligned with your home frequency. Home frequency refers to the state where you're most authentically yourself, a state where judgment doesn't get disrupted even without forcing effort. In this state, you don't expect excessively. You don't strain due to anxiety, and you don't make choices born from lack. And at precisely this point, the relationship with manifestation becomes clear. Manifestation isn't about changing reality by intensely imagining something. It's a question of whether you're in a state that can receive reality. When the pineal gland activates and you begin aligning with your home frequency, you naturally move into the optimal state for receiving manifestation. In this state, you don't distort reality in your interpretation. You don't overestimate opportunities, you don't ignore risks, and you don't forcefully hold on to flows that don't match your current self. So in this state, manifestation doesn't feel like something you're forcing into existence. Instead, it appears as something that naturally flows in. People connect, opportunities link together, and results accumulate without exaggeration. The reason many people say manifestation suddenly became stronger isn't because the universe started giving more, it's because they aligned themselves into a state capable of receiving. Now there's a part I must absolutely warn you about. If you approach this state with curiosity for mystical experiences, you can experience significant side effects. You'll start interpreting every emotional change and imaginative image as meaningful signals. You might even mistake thoughts born from anxiety as important messages. In this case, your ability to judge reality actually weakens. That's why I don't recommend self-study or simple imitation when it comes to third eye or pineal gland activation. Approaching this without professional understanding and adequate preparation can bring mental and practical confusion. So why bring up these potentially risky topics? The reason is clear. The more we understand how intricately our body and consciousness operate, the more manifestation stops being magic or blind faith and becomes an understandable mechanism. People doubt what they don't understand, but the moment they understand the structure, the wall of doubt naturally lowers. And when this wall disappears, manifestation actually becomes stronger. Why? Because the internal resistance of "does this even make sense?" vanishes. Therefore, this discussion about the third eye and pineal gland activation isn't about becoming special. It's about understanding reality more accurately. When you understand it this way, manifestation is no longer a far-fetched concept. It becomes accepted as a natural part of life's process that operates alongside the elevation of consciousness. Now, if you've understood everything up to this point, a natural question arises. So how can I use this third eye, this pineal gland state, in a way that doesn't distort reality, but makes manifestation both safe and powerful? This part is very important, because if handled well, this state can greatly increase the accuracy of your life. But if approached incorrectly, it can cloud your judgment of reality. So toward the end of today's video, we'll cover detailed, practical methods for staying stably in your home frequency, without being swayed by sensations, while being aware of the third eye and strengthening manifestation. And from now on, we're going to discuss something many of you have heard of, but haven't properly understood: the Akashic Records. When most people first hear this term, they think, is it like records from past lives? Some mysterious database somewhere in the universe? This reaction is very natural. The concept of Akashic Records has long been transmitted alongside mystical stories, prophecies, and spiritual abilities. So the first thing we need to do is re-explain this concept in very intuitive language. If I describe the Akashic Records in one sentence, it's the accumulated structure of how you've interpreted and chosen reality. Right here, many misunderstandings already begin to dissolve. The etymology comes from the Sanskrit word akasha, which means sky, space, the foundation that contains everything. In ancient philosophy, this word didn't refer to a book written somewhere. It meant the foundation where all experiences and information leave traces. In other words, the Akashic Records isn't a record for predicting the future. It's a concept that explains why reality has always flowed in this particular way. This brings us to an important question. Why do people always repeat similar problems? Let me give you an example. Some people always get hurt in similar relationships. The person changes each time, but the result is always similar. At first they treat you well, then later. You're the only one making effort, and ultimately it ends with, "I'm alone again." This person usually says, "This person was different. This time they really seemed okay." But if you look just a little deeper, this person's way of interpreting reality has hardly changed at all. Love naturally requires patience and endurance. I need to try harder for the relationship to continue. If I take care of myself first, I'm being selfish. These thoughts weren't consciously chosen. They're the result of repeated experiences and emotions hardening into automatic reactions over time. This is exactly what the Akashic Records looks like in real life. The Akashic Records isn't some cosmic database. It's your internal reality interpretation manual. It's the accumulated set of beliefs, assumptions, and automatic choices built up over your life. So when people say, "Why do I always make these choices?" The answer is that these choices were already written in their personal Akashic Records. They were already encoded in their interpretation manual. Here we need to address a very important misunderstanding. The Akashic Records is not a concept about fixed destiny. It's not saying this is just who you are and you can't change. Actually, it's precisely the opposite. It's a concept that allows you to see for the first time why you've been stuck in certain patterns. And this is where it connects precisely with our earlier discussion. Remember the activated third eye state? In that state, mental noise decreases, and you begin to see your own state from a slight distance. In that moment, this question arises for the first time. Why do I always react this way at this point? Is this choice right for my current self? Or is it just a familiar pattern? What you're doing in this moment is precisely reading your own Akashic Records. Reading the Akashic Records doesn't mean digging up the past or seeing the future. It means becoming aware of what criteria you've been using to interpret reality. When this awareness occurs, you naturally move toward your home frequency. Why? Because the distinction between reactions, coming from familiar patterns and choices that fit your current self, begins to become clear. In this state, even without trying to force positivity or trying hard to change your choices gradually shift. And as these small differences accumulate, the flow of life itself begins to change. Therefore, the Akashic Records isn't a concept for making manifestation stronger. It's a concept that helps you discover the structure that's been preventing manifestation from flowing in. People often say, "Why doesn't anything change for me no matter what I do?" The answer to this question isn't that effort is lacking. Rather, in many cases, it's because you're still making choices within the same perceptual structure. When you understand the Akashic Records, this structure begins to become visible for the first time. And when the structure becomes visible, even without forcing change, you become increasingly able to stay in your home frequency. So the reason we're addressing this concept isn't to make you believe in a mystical world. It's to help you understand why you've been in this place and how you can return to the place where you're truly yourself. The deeper the understanding, the more reality stops feeling like something to fight against and starts feeling like a flow that naturally aligns itself. And the Akashic Records is a very important map, showing the starting point of that alignment. So up until now, we've discussed how important it is to be in a state capable of receiving reality through the concept of home frequency. And to get closer to that state, we've come to understand the concepts of the Akashic Records, the third eye and pineal gland activation. Now, naturally, this question arises, so what should I actually do in real life? Are there methods I can apply in daily life without danger? The short answer is yes, there are. And these methods aren't special practices. They're about subtly adjusting your life's rhythm and attitude. The first practice is training yourself not to make decisions right now. People tend to want to decide quickly when they're anxious, because if you don't decide now, it feels like you'll miss the opportunity. If you don't choose now, it feels like you'll fall behind. But in a state close to home frequency, decisions aren't rushed. So the first practice is very simple. For important decisions, just let one night pass. This isn't procrastination. It's giving your state time to align. Remarkably, even after just one day, the sense of "this wasn't it" becomes much clearer in many cases. This is the first step to moving into a state capable of receiving. The second practice is, when an emotion rises, not immediately interpreting that emotion as meaningful. When people hear words like third eye, intuition, or feeling, they make the mistake of trying to receive every emotion as if it were a signal. But emotions arising from anxiety, lack, or impatience aren't intuition. They're reactions. So the practice is this: the stronger, the emotion that rises, before asking, "What does this mean?" First check, is my current state stable? This one habit alone significantly reduces the tendency to interpret reality in distorted ways. The third practice is maintaining a consistent life rhythm. This part is so ordinary that it's most often ignored, but it's actually the element most directly connected to the pineal gland. The pineal gland is an organ of rhythm. When your rhythm of sleep, meals, rest, and focus collapses, no matter how well you understand good concepts, your state won't align. What's important isn't a perfect routine, but a predictable day. When even approximate timing is consistent, the brain stabilizes quickly. The more this stability accumulates, the more time you naturally spend in home frequency. The fourth practice is safe breathing, that allows you to feel your state without overstimulating the pineal gland. Many people, when they hear about opening the third eye, think of intense breathing or excessive concentration. But these methods often increase arousal without helping alignment. So here, we only use very simple breathing. Here's the method. Slowly breathe in through your nose, and as you do, bring a feeling as if a deep center behind your head, between your eyes, is gently opening. Don't try to see anything or strain to concentrate. Then, slowly exhale through your mouth for a long breath, imagining that the tension inside your forehead flows downward. About 4 seconds on the inhale, 6 seconds on the exhale is sufficient. Even just 3 to 5 minutes of this breathing per day naturally reduces mental noise. The purpose of this breathing isn't to activate the pineal gland, but to quietly create a state where the pineal gland can operate well. You don't need to expect any experiences. It's okay if you don't feel anything. What matters is whether, after this breathing, your judgment slows down a bit and your choices become simpler. When you naturally integrate these 4 practices into your life, manifestation doesn't appear as a dramatic event. Instead, arrivals happen faster. It's like someone who kept missing package deliveries because they weren't home. Now they're home. So the moment the bell rings, they receive it right away. Reality was already on its way. You just weren't in a state to receive it. When you stay in home frequency and your state aligns, manifestation is no longer a test. It becomes a very natural flow of receiving what arrives, opening it, and moving to the next stage. This is the safest yet most powerful practical method of manifestation. Everything we've discussed today wasn't meant to make you into a special person. Rather, it was meant to return you to where you originally should be. Reality isn't far away. It was already on its way. We simply weren't in a state to receive it. The moment you align with home frequency, understand the structure of perception, and quietly return to being yourself, reality is no longer a test. It becomes a response. From now on, your life won't be time spent waiting. It will be time spent confirming arrivals. Thank you for watching today's video. On our channel, we provide various content not only about the law of attraction, but also about consciousness growth, motivation, and positive transformation. If today's video was helpful, please subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. If you want to hear more wisdom that can elevate your life, please click the video below. Our channel operates through your support. By joining our membership, you can not only support the channel, but also enjoy more diverse content. Also, purchasing tagged products in the video or entering through those links to buy other products is another great way to support the channel. Of course, just watching the videos is perfectly fine too. Have an amazing day filled with miracles. Thank you.